Today, we're reacting to Geography Now Czech Republic, also known as Czechia.
Let's learn about a new country, Czechia. Literally all I know about Czechia is that it used to be called the Czech Republic and it was part of Czechoslovakia. And yeah.
That's pretty. Some people in the U.S. still reference Czechoslovakia, like older people. They'd be like, what about Czechoslovakia? Not commonly, because nobody ever refers to Czechoslovakia that often, but I've heard people refer to it as that, which is pretty crazy.
And yeah, for some reason, that's like all we know about the country based off our education system.
So let's just jump right in. Let us know if there's more we should learn about Czechia down in the comments below. And yeah, let's get into it. Here we go.
Hey, Barbie.
Yeah.
How old are you?
Do you remember Czechoslovakia?
Czech a what?
Yeah, I was
Exactly,
alive for that.
Czechoslovakia.
It's time to learn geography.
Now! Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbie.
Let's go.
We have reached our last and final country, starting with a C, the Czech Republic, which technically just changed its English name to Czechia.
You mean that place in Russia with all the problems?
No, that's Chechnya.
Didn't you say that was that thing on the Croatian flag?
No, that's the Czechy.
King me.
No, that's checkers.
Bishop
Uh-oh.
to C5?
No, that's chess.
You mean Big Buford Burgers?
No, that's the restaurant checkers.
Isn't that the thing with the hotel?
No, that's a check-in.
Danny Tanner?
Okay, let's start this episode.
A lot of Czechs.
Czech Republic, you're like the heart of Central Europe, the bridge between East and West. First of all, the country is located in Central Europe, landlocked, surrounded by Germany, Poland, Slovakia, and Austria.
Wow.
The country is divided into 13 regions, with the capital city of Prague centrally located in the western half of the country.
Prague.
Now here's the thing.
Really?
In
the Czech
Minnesota,
Republic
there's a
kinda
place
has strong
called-
sense of-
It's a place called New Prague, but it'd be pronounced New Prague here in Minnesota.
Literally, yeah. Even if somebody like was from Europe and they said New Prague, which is spelled exactly the same, by the way. Minnesota, Prague.
You gotta have the long A, like a
Prague.
bag.
Prague.
of regionalism. If you've ever heard the word Bohemia or Bohemian,
Bohemian
regardless of whether or not the
Rhapsody?
context behind the word is used to connotate a Slavic geographic location and people group, it's referencing this general area of the Czech Republic. However, be
Oh,
careful you do
okay.
not call the entire place Bohemia. You will anger the entire eastern part of the country. This is because the Czech Republic is kind of made up of 3 distinct regional identities that are kind of competitive with each other. And
So interesting that countries like that are just broke up into these massive groups. Like here in the U.S., we don't have like big areas of the country that are broke up like this because it's just a big like mash of all these people that came from so many different places.
Yeah, it's just purely based off like ancestry, kind of where people kind of settled, but at this point, everyone moved around, and yeah, we're all just mixes.
I've never even... The only one of these I've heard of is Bohemia, and that's literally from Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah. And,
Silesia, Moravia...
I can't even read that very well.
Silesia.
competitive
Hopefully I
with each
said that
other.
right.
In addition to Bohemia, there's
like a
Moravia
princess.
and little Silesia, who kind of wanders off and pays more attention to Poland than Czechia. Although there is a
Aw.
distinct line of division, generally Moravia is located here with these 3 regions overlapping, as Czech Silesia dominates the small area in the upper
Interesting.
east corner of the country. Also, do not refer to Czechia as an Eastern European country. They are
Alright, good to
Central
know.
Europe. Otherwise, the Czech Republic
Central
doesn't
Europe.
really hold on to any external territories. I mean, they technically leased out 3 ports in Hamburg. Although they aren't considered exclaves, they're used as free ports for trade since Czechia is landlocked. These ports will revert back to Germany,
cool.
though, in 2028. By the way, for current relevancy purposes, full disclosure, I'm going to intermix calling the country Czechia and Czech Republic throughout this video, so you'll never know which one I'll call it next. It's like a mystery game. The second and third largest cities, Brno
people get
and
upset
Ostrava,
if you
can
say
be
the
found
wrong
in
one?
the regions of Morava and Silesia.
Yeah, that's true. Or like, I'm sure maybe do like generation split at all? Like, do older people still call it Czech Republic and then younger people now call it Czechia? I don't know.
Because it was pretty recent, wasn't it? Because he said they just did it in this video, and this video is probably like 6, 7 years old.
So that's interesting. Let us know in the comments how that works.
Silesia, and competition between Prague can get pretty heated in a friendly way, but you know, in a don't push my buttons and I won't stab you friendly way. The funny thing is, there really aren't any suburbs in the country. I mean, the city just kind of ends and then it becomes countryside like right away. Speaking of the
Interesting.
countryside, let's talk about the landscape and stuff now, shall we?
Landscape. This is the
Okay,
important
so just
stuff.
being completely upfront, the Czech Republic may not be the most forest-ridden
Looks like some
country in
farm
Europe. A
fields.
lot of the land outside of urban centers is tilled and irrigated in irregularly shaped crop fields. The country only
Weird.
has 4 national parks. However, with whatever nature zones they do have, they go all out. I mean, parts of the freaking Narnia movies were filmed here.
Oh, wow.
First of all, if you look at Czechia
That's
from
cool.
space, you'll notice that the entire country is kind of shaped like a bowl encased by mountains on all sides. This makes the country a perfect drainage basin for various rivers. Bowl encased by. If you look at Czechia
Where's
from
the
space,
bowl?
you'll notice that the
I
entire
don't see a
country is
bowl. It kind of
shaped
looks
a
like
bowl encased.
maybe like a rhino without legs that's going towards the east, like kind of pushing towards the east, but he doesn't have any legs.
Yeah, I could see. There's a point right here. I could see a rhino.
Yeah,
I can
and that's
see
like
a
his
rhino.
nose, and his nose is touching the corner of Slovakia.
Some form of like messed up dinosaur it could be as well. Some sort of creature.
Encased by mountains on all sides. This makes the country a perfect drainage basin for various
look at those
rivers like
bridges.
Elbe, Vltava, and Morava rivers. Closer to the outside of the borders are rolling green hills and low mountains
Wow.
that speckle the country with the occasional forest and classical Bohemian and
creepy
Moravian
forest.
castle perched on the summits.
Jeez.
Oh yeah, castle appreciation. Oh, these are
Like
impressive.
the opulent castles.
Yeah, my gosh.
Then you
look
have
at
that weird small desert that's barely like a kilometer wide. Otherwise, most of the country
The
is
heck?
kind of flat with small undulations here and there loaded with barley and wheat
Undulations.
fields. Don't
My
be
favorite
fooled
word.
though. Barley and wheat, although good for bread and cereals, is important for the crown prize commodity that usurps all other Czech products. Beer! Yes,
Beer.
The Czech take beer very seriously. You thought the Germans and Irish had a heavy beer culture. You obviously
Yeah.
have not met a Czech mate. No, but seriously, the Czech Republic has the highest beer
Don't
consumption
think I've
per
met a
capita
Czech
than
person
any
in
other
my
country
life.
in the world at around 145 liters per person per year. Nonetheless,
Hey, more
driving
than the
while drunk is a
Germans.
serious crime with
Surprising.
incredibly harsh punishments. They take the policy with almost
Good.
zero
Good.
tolerance. So just remember, when in Czechia, keep your drunken fights and mental breakdowns where they belong, at home with your family. Speaking of family, a favorite pastime that many Czech families have is going mushrooming, in which they go out for hikes and pick wild edible mushrooms and bring them back home to cook. The Czech economy is really heavily centered around industry and manufacturing, though, especially in the automotive department. Car production alone makes up about 18% of all exports and employs millions across the country. Let's talk more about the employees now, shall we?
Dun, dun.
In a nutshell, the Czech Republic is the most stable and prosperous of the post-communist states of Europe. First of all, the country has around 10.5 million people and has the lowest unemployment rate in all of the European Union. When it
Didn't know
comes to
that.
ethnic makeup, things are kind of weird and hilarious because officially there's a huge group of undeclared people. Although by all reasonable statistics, over
Undeclared.
90% of the country is ethnically Czech, although only 65% of the country deliberately identifies as Czech, where 25% is unspecified. And the reason is because in the census, they left nationality as an optional item to check off, and a ton of people in the country just kind of dismissed that part. Whereas the rest of the country either identifies as Moravian or Slovak or other. The largest groups being
Oh,
Ukrainians
interesting.
and surprisingly Vietnamese. Yeah, apparently Czechia is a
That's
hotspot for the
random.
Vietnamese. Who would have guessed? Of course, Czech
It's
is
always
the official
surprising to
language
see
of
the whole
Slavic-based
groups of different countries that will, for some reason, choose some other country.
In Minnesota, Somalians chose to move here a lot for
Yeah.
some reason. It's really random.
It's Somali and then Hmong. Hmong.
That's really weird. I guess like if a family moves there and then other family members come, they're like, oh, I'm just gonna go where my family is, and then it just trickles and trickles, and then the whole neighborhood's there, and then the whole city's there, and then you just got a whole little culture, a little
Who
Somalia
wants to go to
culture.
dang Minnesota in the first place?
Not me. It's negative. It was negative 12. It feels like negative 12 out there last night.
Fahrenheit.
Ouch. Ouch.
tongue that is mutually intelligible to the Slovaks across the border and slightly off but still kind of understandable to the Poles. The interesting
That's
thing is that
interesting.
Czech is the only language that uses the ersh letter that makes the
Ersh.
sound. I'll let this guy explain.
The actual letter itself is pronounced ersh. When you see it in a word, it's pronounced differently. You don't see here ersh eka. This means river, by the way. Instead, it's pronounced reka.
One thing that absolutely sets the Czech apart would have to be its distinguishable architecture that incorporates both classical Baroque and Gothic
Turn into a
elements
cat
with
purring.
ornate colonnades embellishing the foyers and corridors.
I love those our churches are so cool.
Wow.
St. George's Basilica.
Home to a plethora of world-renowned composers, artists, and even one Nobel Prize literature winner, the Czechs hold their ground in culture. Long story short, like almost every other country in Europe, the Czechs have a long history of complex kingdoms, empires, duchies, reformations, alliances, battles, unions, revolutions, splits, and even for a while being part of the Eastern Bloc. But basically, all you really have to know is that through it all, they've still retained their unique sense of nationalistic Central European Slavic identity.
There's Mac Shack back there.
Hockey.
They also have an interesting sense of diplomatic identity, such we'll discuss in.
Bum, bum, bum.
Czechia,
Friend
once
zone.
again, has a long history with its neighbors that takes too long to explain, but in the shortest way I can put it, as part of the former Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Czechs still retain quite a close tie to Austria and Hungary, even after the dissolution of the empire in the early 20th century. But then we get to little Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein had a
Why
few
did that
problems
look
with
so
the early
evil?
20th
That was
century, but
creepy. I
then
did
we get
not
to-
like it at all.
No, it's a monster. Liechtenstein. What happened to you?
The shape of the mouth with the teeth, the pointy teeth, scaring me.
I don't like it.
Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein had a few problems with castles and land that they used to own in the area, and for a while didn't even recognize the country as legit until 2009, when they were finally like, fine, whatever. In general,
Wow.
they are good friends with the Visegrad group of countries,
Visegrad
Poland,
group.
Slovakia, and Hungary. These countries have incredibly good business and governmental cooperation. Their best friend would have to be, hands down, though, Slovakia. They're more than just friends. They're basically like conjoined twins that were separated at the head back in the 90s. It was the most peaceful split, and to this day, Czechs and Slovaks will always walk hand
Peaceful
in hand.
split?
In conclusion,
Well,
the
that's
Czech
cool.
Always
Republic
good.
is like the
It's always
Slavic
good.
brother that grew up, got a job, and kind of only reluctantly shows up to family reunions when it's really absolutely necessary. Stay tuned. Denmark is coming up next.
All right. Czechia, Czech Republic. What an interesting place. That'd be a really cool place to go and kind of experience. I've heard good things about Prague and the Czech Republic in general.
People rave about Prague, and they'll say it's like their favorite city in Europe, and that's just, there's so many cities in Europe, so it must be an amazing city.
Will we go there on our travel vlog channel? Maybe, hopefully. If we should, let us know where to go, and let us know more Czech Republic videos we should react to down in the comments below.
We're really going to need suggestions because we don't know where to go after geography now.
No, we don't. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one, guys. Bye.
Bye.